Hi, this is Randy Stafford, and I want to show you my lesson plan for my AP Physics 1 class. I had a lesson plan for late in the year, but when we all went virtual, I had to kind of recast this. And now this is this lesson that happens very early in the year. It's actually, there's a kind of a mini lesson, mini unit before this, and this is the second really meaty unit. So I'm doing it in mid-August, plan to anyway, assuming we're back. This set of lessons is going to take 5 days. I've taught this before, but not using any technology like I'm about to show you. So day one is actually, it's just a plain old experiment where students have to, working in groups, have to decide if they think, before gathering any experimental evidence, motion in one direction, horizontal say, affects motion in the vertical direction. They're going to form a hypothesis, and then they're going to collect some data and test that hypothesis, and then update their answer if they had if their hypothesis was an error. But then day two, they get to apply that knowledge. There is a set of simulations called PhET simulations for all kind of sciences, and I just love them to death. Students can they can adjust the height of the cannon, they can adjust the angle of the cannon. They then have to do some math and calculate where they think the target ought to be. Once they do that, they fire, and I clearly did not know where the target had to be. So they would have to recalculate this again. There's a whole lab they have to fill out that looks like this, where they do a number of experiments under different settings, and then eventually they have to answer a concluding question that is a fairly hard calculation. So once they've mastered that on day two, we turn to day three, where we have really gamified this bit of learning. The physics classroom is this great resource. They named this interactive turd the target, which on the one hand I kind of regret. On the other hand, they're teenagers and they seem to love that. But there is this simulation where I'm presented with a problem, and I have to tell the computer where I think it needs to place a bucket in order to catch the bird's poop. I have calculated this before turning the video on, so we're going to check my answer. The bird flies in, and if I did the math right, I catch his poop, and I don't know what this brown liquid is, and I probably don't want to know. Students have to get 6 right answers. They have to fill these 3 cups in. I'm going to answer one wrong. And you will see, oh, I lost the fluid in my cup. So again, best not to think about it. But this is stage one. We do this on day 3 of the lesson. And then it's limited to kind of a special set of 2-dimensional motion, but they have the sequel, Turd the Target 2. I know, I didn't choose the names. But this is more generalized motion. I've already had calculated this. I'm going to fire that, and you'll notice it's a catapult. And there's going to be a little portal open, assuming I did the math right. Yeah, there it is. So I was able to catch the poop, and there it is. So students, I think, are going to love that. Once they've mastered that, the last day of this, we're going to use some really advanced software called Tracker. It's free download from tracker.com, and it analyzes motions. I'm going to play this video for you. This kid throwing his basketball, and it analyzes frame by frame what its position is. But you'll notice over here on the right, I've got it set to analyze what its position is horizontally and vertically. But students can quite easily change that to not position, but velocity. See, it kind of tracks through. It's got a fairly constant velocity in the horizontal direction and an ever decreasing velocity in the vertical direction. Those little hiccups are when it hits that backboard. I can even have it measure acceleration, which it should find very close to 0 in the x direction and very close to -10 in the y direction. And you'll see, yeah, that's very close to 0, except when it hits a backboard. This is very close to -10. So this is very advanced software. It's really hard to get students up to speed on using it, but we end up using it, I don't know, a dozen times or so through the year. So I really think that this is going to be a very good unit, and students are going to really love it. Let me show you the rubric